Good afternoon, everyone. This is Queenie Clem with Queenie's Book Talk and Reviews, and I am your literary ambassador. And today I have a special guest on my channel. Please introduce yourself and tell us a little about you.
Hi, everyone. My name is Lorilyn White. I am a writer and an avid reader, and I'm so happy to be here today to talk to you about my debut novel, She Wouldn't Wait. I am about to turn 65 years old, and I am now living my dream as a published author. So I'm so excited to be here with you today.
Thank you, thank you, thank you. What inspired you to start writing and pursue your career as an author?
I have always been a writer. It's been my creative and emotional outlet throughout my life. I started journaling as a teenager, and in high school, I wrote short stories and poetry for our student magazine. But my mother warned me that writers don't make a lot of money. So I had to take a step back from it. I still used it as a creative outlet. I continued to do short stories and dabble, in different classes to hone my writing skills. But I had to work a real job. So I spent 20 years as a corporate finance manager. And then I moved to Virginia and I spent 4 years as a teacher in the public schools. So after the pandemic, that's when I decided to retire. And I went ahead and dove in, and I'm now fully indulging in writing full time.
Wow, wow. Can you give us a brief overview of your debut book and tell us what the story is about?
Yes, my book, She Wouldn't Wait, is essentially the story of a woman who marries the wrong man and she suffers deadly consequences. Grace, the main character, is a budding junior accountant, and she desires her family and ideal with the ideal mate. And after 3 years of a torrid romance with our college sweetheart, Maurice, she fully expected that he would propose. But Maurice is more focused on his art career, and he continually negates any marriage plans. So rather than continuing to wait, Grace chooses to move on. Maurice goes on to experience some personal trauma of his own. His mother drops a bombshell on her deathbed that forces him to reevaluate his relationship with Grace and his position on marriage. When Grace embarks on a promising new romance with a coworker named Trevor, she believes that he's going to be the one to fulfill her dream for the ideal family and the home. Maurice attempts to intercede and convince her that he is the one, not Trevor. Grace is forced to make a decision between a spontaneous, passionate love with an uncertain future or a calm, safe one with security, and she decides to settle on the latter. But Trevor has a dark secret lurking in the shadows, and what Grace doesn't know can hurt her, possibly even kill her. That's the essence of She Wouldn't Wait.
What was your writing process like? And did you face any challenges as a first time author?
Oh, where there's always challenges as a first time author. When it comes to the writing process, I am a pantser. There are people who are plotters that like to use an outline, but I am a pantser. And so I don't use an outline. My writing process basically starts with an idea. I start with a what if statement. For example, what if a woman is in love with a man who doesn't want the same things that she wants? What would happen? And from that, I begin to craft a story trying to find the answer to that question. After I have all of my core plot and characters down, then I do step back and do some outlining to make sure that my plot is making sense. And if it's not, I use that time to fill in the holes. And then the last part is where I go back and I really look at the language. I add the flowery prose, the colors and descriptions that are going to enhance the reader's experience. The writing process, I originally wrote this book and wanted to do a traditional publishing deal and going out, sending query letters over and over, not getting the acceptance. It was very difficult for me. I believe that publishers and agents can act as gatekeepers. And sometimes it's not that your manuscript isn't good, it's just that it's not what they consider to be marketable at that time. So sometimes it is because your book is not ready, and you need to be honest with yourself and look at your manuscript and figure out, is it really ready for prime time? And after I went through that process with agents for a while, I decided that my book was good enough. And so I chose the option to self-publish. And so now that's where we're at with She Wouldn't Wait. It's out on Kindle and in paperback on Amazon.
Okay. Okay, how do you approach the initial writing phase? Did you focus on the big picture elements like the plot and the characters first, or did you just dive into the nitty gritty of it?
I try to focus on the big picture. I want to have a concept, a life lesson that I'm trying to bring the readers to understand. In this case, for She Wouldn't Wait, for me, the life lesson is the importance of honesty, fidelity, and commitment in a relationship. And then I put the characters into certain situations where they are testing that life lesson. And hopefully, through the choices and mistakes that they make along the way, they learn the life lesson and find out how important those qualities are in a relationship.
Okay. In your books, how do you approach incorporating elements from both the past and the present? Is there a specific method or structure you find effective in balancing these two things?
Well, there are no coincidences. Everything happens to us for a reason. So, what happens to a character in the past is going to affect what they're doing now, what their current behavior is. You want to try to bring in past elements that relate to what the character is doing now so that you can understand what their motivations are. Um, those are you don't want to give too much past information that really has nothing to do with the current story that's happening right now.
Okay. What led Grace to choose comfort and security over passionate love in her life?
Well, Grace has been raised in a stable home. Both of her parents have been there, and she sees them as being happy, as being successful. So she is trying to emulate what she sees her parents have. That's what she believes is going to make her happy. So even though her first love is spontaneous, it's very, very passionate, there never seems to be any security in it. Maurice is always doing things that are unconventional. He's always getting up and wanting to travel and leaving her on her own, even though he'll return. She just never knows when that's going to be. She never knows what the future is going to be like with him. So that's why Trevor gives her the impression that he's more stable and has similar
Yeah.
goals of what he wants to have in life. He's interested in having the American dream. He believes Grace already has that with her family, and he thinks by being with her that he can achieve that also. So she chooses him because he leads her to believe that he wants the same things that she wants.
How does the story open, and what crisis did Grace find at the beginning or face at the beginning?
Well, Grace, uh, actually, can I read my opening chapter? Because
Yes, go
that's the
ahead. Go
part
right
that I
ahead.
wanted.
Yes.
Okay. So, an excerpt from the book, I'm going to read the opening for you. It's October 1985. Grace woke up feeling nauseated and wasn't sure what was the cause. There was a good reason she might feel sick, but she didn't think the baby was causing it. The morning sickness had stopped a few days ago, though she supposed it could return. Rolling over in bed, she relished having it all to herself. Last night, her husband had departed for a sudden business trip to Boston. The unexpected opportunity for solitude was a welcome reprieve. Ever since he heard the news she was pregnant, Grace was suffocating from all his attention. He watched every morsel of food entering her mouth and pestered her about getting exercise. She understood he wanted his child to be perfect, but resented that he didn't seem to trust her to take good care of herself and the baby she was carrying. And now it all seemed so ironic since she couldn't trust her husband. No, don't go there again. Sitting up in bed, she inhaled deeply, detecting a funny smell in the air. It wasn't the fresh paint or the scent of freshly varnished floors. Those new house odors hadn't made Grace feel sick before. No, this was an unfamiliar smell, a smoky smell. Getting out of bed, Grace went into the hallway. A loud pop exploded as she approached the top of the stairs. Smoke thickened in the living room. Oh my God, she moaned. Running back to the bedroom, she yanked a pair of jeans up from the floor. She pulled them on, stuffed her nightshirt into the top, and jammed her feet into a pair of sneakers. Another loud crash reverberated as her bedroom swiftly filled with a smoky haze. Running back toward the stairs, intense heat assaulted her. Oh no, oh no, oh no. Afraid she couldn't make it downstairs, panic set in. Frozen with fear, her heart raced as the flames tore out of the kitchen into the living room. Grace finally ran back to her bedroom, slamming the door closed. Flinging open the window, she screamed, Help! Oh God, someone help me, please. She looked down at the sparse bushes below. Could they break my fall if I jumped? Grabbing the bed sheet, she tied it around the post of the bed's headboard and tugged on it, testing its strength. Satisfied, she tossed the loose end of the sheet out the window and began to climb out. Oh God, please help me. Tears blurred her vision as she hesitated, one leg in the house, the other dangling out. Faintly, someone called her name. Help! She shouted again. She grabbed the bed sheet with one hand and held onto the ledge with the other hand as she pulled her whole body out the window. Once she was out, she clung to the sheet, hoping to lower herself down. But the sheet gave way under her full weight, and she screamed as she fell, blacking out. From there, we take the story to retrace Grace's steps and her choices that have led her to this dangerous crisis.
Wow. Wow. Um, What adds action and mystery to the story aside from the relationship drama?
Well, there is now a whole mystery about who started the fire and why the fire was started. We also have the question of how is Grace going to recover from this incident that happens in the beginning of the book? And then we have the dark secret that eventually gets revealed as far as what Trevor is doing instead of being a good boy.
Okay, and which decade and location does the story take place?
The story takes place in the 1980s. And the reason I picked that is because that was the time, me personally, I was making those critical decisions about whom to marry and how my career was going to be. So I wanted to be able to be authentic in how my character was initiating those processes in her life. And the world now is very different. So I didn't want to get into phone conversations and texting and all of that because I didn't go through that at the time. So that's why I picked that particular time frame, the 1980s. And the story is set primarily in New York City and the suburb of Westchester County. That's where I'm originally from. And I like to use real places in my stories because it eliminates the whole necessity of world building for me. And that way I can concentrate my creativity on my characters and on my plot.
Now tell us, who is Maurice?
Maurice is an ambitious, talented painter from New Orleans, and he is willing to do whatever it takes in order to be successful in his art career. He was raised by a single mother, and he doesn't have any idea of what a healthy marriage looks like. And he does not think that he needs one in order to be happy because his mother was a wonderful, bubbly person and she wasn't married. So he doesn't think that he needs marriage in his life.
How does Grace meet Trevor, and what role does he play in her life?
Grace meets Trevor at work. So Trevor, for him, he sees Grace and it's like love at first sight for him. She stirs something deep in him and he thinks this is going to be my wife. This is the woman of my dreams. So he slowly approaches her, gets her to start going out with him after work. He makes sure that he brings her all the way home to her doorstep, even though it means he needs to take a train ride to Westchester to get her to home. And then he has to take a train ride back. He goes out of his way to wine her and dine her. And she's very hesitant. She's still kind of thinking about Maurice, but knowing that she needs to move on. And slowly he breaks her down and gets her to come his way. And she convinces herself that she's in love with him the way that he's in love with her.
What prompts Maurice to re-enter Grace's life, and what is his reasons for doing so?
Well, after the two of them split up, he is off traveling and then he is called back to New Orleans where his mother is ill and she is diagnosed with cancer and he is there trying to keep her restaurant going as well as be supportive of her, hoping that she's going to recover and not die. Um, on her deathbed, she finally reveals to him who he really is. She has been telling him his father is a honored army officer who died in battle and finds out that that is not who his father is. His father is actually a notorious criminal in New Orleans. So it totally blows his mind. He does not want this person to be his father. And then when his mother does die, he realizes how alone he is and that he misses Grace and all the comfort and love and support that she has shown him over the past 3 years. And so that's when he realizes that he's been selfish, only pursuing his own goals, and he needs to try to reconcile with Grace because he realizes there is value in love, in family, and he's ready now to get married.
Now tell us about Anna and Jock.
Anne is Grace's best friend all through college. And Jacques is Maurice's cousin. They're first cousins. They're very close. They were actually raised like brothers. Grace and Maurice introduce Anne and Jacques to one another. And Anne and Jacques instantly hit it off and become this wonderful lovey-dovey couple. When Grace and Maurice break up, they're like, this can't be. So they tend to play matchmaker and keep trying to get these two back together. Maurice is happy. He's glad that he has their help. But Grace is not happy about it. And she keeps asking Anne if she can be her friend without Maurice being in her life. And Anne says yes, but she really thinks that Maurice and Grace belong together. And so her and Jacques do a few little things trying to reunite them.
Okay, what do you think? What leads Grace to make a difficult choice between Trevor and Maurice?
What makes her make that difficult choice? Well, Maurice, just as Grace is settling into her relationship with Trevor,
Mm-hmm.
and she thinks, I love him, I'm ready to move forward with him, Maurice pops up and starts reminding her of what their love really felt like. So Grace tries to satisfy herself with that calm, quiet love with Trevor. But when her and Maurice come back together, the passion is just explosive. And she realizes that she doesn't really want to spend the rest of her life without feeling that way again. But there has to be a sacrifice in order for her to truly be happy. She just cannot believe that Maurice has changed enough where he's going to settle down and give her the stability that she is really looking for. And so, even though she wants that passion, she decides that she has to give that up in order to have the stable home like her parents have. And that's why she settles on Trevor. And Trevor is very good at keeping his secret from her. Mm-hmm. When it finally does come out, she's just totally shocked that he could even do anything like that. Like that never ever crossed her mind that he would cheat on her.
What role does faith play in Grace's life?
Well, Grace is brought up in a Christian home, and as she faces ordeals, she holds on to her faith. She is the type of person who understands that people do make mistakes, and she believes that God gives them second chances. And even though things might not be going quite the way that you always want them to, God's grace is sufficient to get you through the tough trials that happen to you in life. So faith is very important to Grace.
What challenges does Grace face with her quest for happiness?
Well, she wants to have this stable relationship, but yet she's not asking the right kind of questions.
Yes.
So that she's not really getting all of the information that she needs to make a well-informed decision. And that part of her really comes out when she sits down with Anne for dinner and begins to tell her about this wonderful person that now she's engaged to. She no longer needs Maurice in her life. She's finally getting married to the person who she thinks can fulfill her dream of home and family. And when Anne begins to question her, why is this love so wonderful? You don't even know this guy. It's only been like 6 months that you've been dating him, and now you're engaged to be married. And she says, boy, he must really make a lot of money. And Grace is like, I don't even know how much money he makes. Okay, well, I guess you want to marry him because he's really great in bed. And she's like, he's okay. And then Anne is like, okay, he's not making a lot of money. He's not great in the sack. Like, what is it about this guy that, and it's what the illusion he's
Yes.
giving her that is making her think he's the right one for her. But if she goes back and really asks some real questions, she's never even been to his apartment. She's never seen where he lives. He's been to her home, he's seen her family, but she's just taking his word for everything. She's not validating any of the information that he's giving her. So she is easily deceived by him because, in some funny kind of way, she doesn't really want to dig any deeper. She wants him to be the right person for her. And so she makes him to be the right person for her.
Right. How does the story explore the themes of honesty, fidelity, and commitment through flashbacks and memories?
Well, when Grace and Maurice initially start their relationship, he tells her right off the bat that he loves her, but if she cannot get in the way of him pursuing his career in the art world, and he is willing to do whatever with whoever, sacrificing his body if he has to. He's got a reputation for sleeping with his models that he uses for painting, and he tells her that it's okay. It doesn't matter to him. He's sleeping with these people. It's strictly business. His feelings aren't involved in it, and so she shouldn't worry about those things. But we all know that he's being honest with her, but yet he's not showing her fidelity, and he's definitely not showing her a commitment. He's saying, I want to be with you, but this is what's most important to me. So that is part of the reason why she lets him go, because she doesn't think he's ever going to, one, be faithful to her, and two, that he's ever going to actually commit and put her in front of his career.
Mm-hmm.
So in Trevor's case, he makes her think that he is being faithful to her. He's doing all of this cheating on her secretly, and she has no idea any of this is happening. So he gives her the illusion that he is being faithful. He asks her to marry him. So he is definitely ready to make that commitment, but he's not being honest with her. And the fact that he is not being honest with her leads to this critical situation that she winds up getting herself into. Because when you are messing around with other people, you have no idea what lengths they are going to go in order to keep this little relationship going. It's like the fatal attraction story. You know, this person, now you've been in this loving relationship and you're telling her, oh, well, you know, this isn't really serious, right? And she's going, yeah, yeah, but deep in her heart, she's hoping that it really is going to be serious. And when it's not, you don't know what this person is going to do. Now they're angry, they're upset, they want to get some kind of revenge against you. And that is what happens to Grace. She becomes the target of a revenge because Trevor's cheating has enraged some other people and got their feelings all upset and worked up. Okay.
You got me thinking like, oh, who could it be?
Yeah.
Could it be T? End with an A? You're making me think. No, who can it be? Okay. Can you share your favorite character or scene from your book and tell us why it's special to you?
Favorite character. Grace is my favorite character. Because in a lot of ways, there's kind of a bit of me in her. Um, I'm not as naive as she is. However, I did at one point really want to have that same kind of stability. I was brought up in a home with my mom and my dad. God bless them. They were married to each other for 70 years. So you want to do what you have seen in your life, especially when you see that your parents are happy, they're successful. Um, but my favorite scene actually with Grace is where she has to make the decision. Maurice has popped back up into her life. He calls her and asks her to come see him at his studio, saying that he needs to speak with her. Something terrible has happened to him. And even though she's already dating Trevor, she goes there and she has the full intention of telling him that they're not going to get back together and that she's now in a new relationship. But when she sees Maurice, she's just instantly attracted to him. She realizes that the love is still there. And this is exactly what he wants. So he takes complete advantage of her and starts kissing her and getting her, coaxing her to the point where they wind up sleeping together. And so she's now in a relationship with Trevor, but now she's back with her ex, and she doesn't want to tell either one of them about the other one,
Mhm.
but she knows she can't keep stringing both of them along. So at some point, she has to sit back and evaluate. And she realizes that she needs to make this decision who she's going to be with. So Maurice asks her to come with him back to New Orleans. And she has to tell him, no, I'm not going to go. I can't just drop everything in my life, get up and go the way that you do. I have a job, I have responsibilities. I can't just get up and leave, even though she really does want to be with him. So that's the part I think that I like the most is when she's actually telling Maurice that she cannot go back to New Orleans with him, but she never mentions Trevor. And then eventually Maurice sees her with Trevor and he asks her, oh, is this the real reason why you can't come back with me to New Orleans? Like he can't believe it's just because he's been so unstable that she's not going to accept him. So now, oh, now he's got a reason. Okay, it's because of this guy. And so he immediately now wants to find out what's up with Trevor. There's got to be something that Trevor is doing that he can find to still come between the two of them so that he can be reunited with Grace.
Okay. Are you currently working on any new projects or books, and can you give us a glimpse of what readers can expect from you next?
Yes, so I have written the sequel to She Wouldn't Wait. It's called No Big Easy Love, and it's going to be released in February of 2024. And in that sequel, Grace and Maurice are married, but the bonds of their marriage get tested when they suffer a financial crisis and they make the decision to move from New York to New Orleans, where Maurice has inherited a house from his mother after she has died. And he comes into contact with the criminal branch of his family, and he's got to navigate some very, very choppy waters. So that's the sequel. And then I have another book that I'm working out. I'm leaning into crime fiction in my third book. Um, it's actually a story about two attorneys who are on the opposite sides of a murder case. And as the murder case is being solved, a romance blossoms between the defense attorney, Alicia, and the prosecutor, David, which is blurring the ethical lines and can lead to a problem that jeopardizes both of their careers. So hopefully that book will be out probably early 2025.
Oh, okay, okay. For readers who are about to dive into this, to She Won't Wait, is there any message you will hope the reader to take away from the story?
Yes, well, definitely those themes of honesty, fidelity, and commitment, and how important they are in a relationship. If you want your relationship to be successful, you need to have those three components be a part of it. There needs to be that honest communication. You need to be committed to this relationship through the ups, through the downs, and you need to be faithful to your partner. No running around.
Mhm. Mhm. Well, is there anything else you would like to share with the readers?
Well, first, I want to thank you, Queenie Clem, for what you do, bringing readers and writers together. I so appreciate the opportunity to talk about my book today with you. And second, I just want to encourage anybody who is thinking about writing that book that you should go ahead and go for it. You are never too old, never too young to go ahead and pursue your dream of being a writer. It's the most exciting, fascinating ride that I've ever been on, and I want you to experience it. There's lots of help out there online. There are classes, there are mentors. Don't be afraid. Go for it. Go for your dreams.
Mhm. Well, thank you for coming in today. I really appreciate it.
Thank you so much for having me. And anybody who wants to find out more about me, my books, please go to my website, laurelynwhite.com. You can sign up for my newsletter where I share my thoughts on different books that I'm reading. And I also share some of my short stories that I've written. And I'll keep you updated on any book signings that may be coming up. So thank you again. I appreciate you.
And let us see the cover of the book one more time, please.
Absolutely. She wouldn't wait.
She didn't wait.
Thank you.
Thank you and have a good day.
You too.
This is Queenie Clem with Queenie's Book Talk and Reviews. Happy reading. Bye, y'all.